Oh, well, hello, my baby gorillas. And just received a phone call from Paul Hutcheon there, Daily Record journalist. He had written articles about me. It was actually Paul Hutcheon who, first of all, wrote the first article with regards to me being at a David Irving event that I wasn't at. And Paul Hutcheon then wrote an article on the day when the children were, the report of the children being abused in Manchester, about me being a vile racist. He was the first person to write anything about me not saying anything racist. And now he's just got in contact with me to inform me that I'm banned on Twitter, probably because of what he's already written about me. I think Peter Adam Smith wrote the article with regards to me, or spoke to me that way because of Mr. Hutcheon of the Daily Record. So Mr. Hutcheon is just on the phone informing me that I'm not a journalist and that I'm just a pest with a phone. I didn't realise I had to go through Paul Hutcheon to be quoted as a journalist. It doesn't seem that Mr. Hutcheon is a journalist. It appears that Mr. Hutcheon is an individual that actually simps for the Labour Party, and this is the problem. We've got these journalists who are telling other journalists that they're not journalists, and that they can actually decide who is a journalist and then besmirch them in the papers. So this is what's actually happening here. That Paul Hutcheon can come up and say that I'm at a David Irving event that he was at, that I wasn't at. That he can decide who is and who is not a journalist. In fact, he's not even answering his phone. So I expect that I'm going to get another hit piece on me that him and Mr. Smith, they've been involved in the cancel culture that is affecting me in my livelihood because of what he's decided to write about me in the past. So this is the thing we've got with the journalists, that they're able to write smear pieces, hit pieces, no legal protection, won't answer the phone, and they can write absolutely anything they want with regards to making up things in the papers. So I'm expecting another hit piece. He just phoned up there to inform me that Twitter had banned me. Twitter banned me because I had written back with regards to the article by what's her the woman, the journalist who was doing the jigsawing. So, there was another article written about me from in the Scotland on Sunday, Scotland. Paul Hutcheon is actually now dictating who and who is not a journalist. And he's able to now write articles. I mean, blatant lies. So I think that Peter Smith had actually got the article about me being racist. Nobody had ever commented on me being a racist or anything like that. The journalist had never commented on anything about racism or racist or anything until Peter Hutcheon had actually commented on his first article, this one here. And he's actually written this article here. And yeah, we've just seen the beheading in France of another another police officer in France. Yet none of these journalists are prepared to accept that they might have been wrong. There might be an issue here. They were prepared to overlook the abuse of children in Scotland, and that he's now deciding what is and what is not journalism. So, I mean, it's obviously just a smear campaign to actually have me barred on social media. They're doing it deliberately. This is the cancel culture of the left in work. They do not want anything that may question the underlying narrative and the underlying globalist agenda, and they'll write anything that they want because there's no protection under the law. So Anna Sawar harassed by former Brexit party candidate. They will not allow anybody to ask any questions if it doesn't go along with their narratives. And the media is not there to hold the politicians to account. The media is there now to protect the politicians and hold other people who are asking difficult questions to account. This is the whole point. So Peter Smith, this is Anna Sawar harassed by racist bully. So the first person to mention anything about racism and racist bully was Paul Hutcheon. Paul Hutcheon, who described me as a so they're describing me. I can't even see it. I don't know where they've taken it down. Harry Styles. This is just coming from two journalists. This is not coming from all of the journalists. Oh, race hate. There it is. There. So this is the first time. So this is after Paul Hutcheon wrote an article about me being at a David Devlin event that I wasn't at, he was at, and now he's put in Harry Styles' video nasty of I think something about race hate, far right. And I'm not far right. I'm a centrist libertarian liberal. I don't believe in race. I've already said that to you guys as well. I don't believe in race. But Paul Hutcheon can actually write anything he wants. This was on the day the release of the Manchester grooming gang report was actually done. So, and he says that I've praised far right activist Tommy Robinson. I've not praised. I don't know Tommy Robinson, but like journalists, you go down and actually do the journalism and you report on the questions. But Paul Hutcheon has said you're not a journalist. So Paul Hutcheon is dictating who is and who's not a journalist. But I don't see him doing any of these questions to the MPs. So they're all talking. This is the first interview, or the first article, should I say, that anybody's described me as racist. And I've never said anything racist. In fact, I am against forms of racism, and I don't think other people who don't look like me are a different race. But obviously, I'm correct about Islam, and this is what they are very frightened of. So Paul Hutcheon is now playing defence for the Labour Party. They're getting me barred on Twitter. They're getting me barred wherever they choose to actually do the cancel culture, because they don't want other journalists who are objective asking questions against their political narrative. And this is the problem we're going to have, that these people can now dictate and just make up any comments they want. So I'm expecting another hit piece by Paul Hutcheon, who wrote the initial article about race and racism, race hate. Harry Styles' video nasty is race hate. I never said anything about race. Never once have I mentioned anything about race. So he's able just to make up things with regards to me, to try and besmirch me, tell me that I'm not a journalist, get things cancelled, take things down off the internet from the Guerilla TV channel, and try and get me debarred from doing journalism, and not actually bringing forward quite legitimate questions about what's actually happening in Scottish society. This race hate thing is the first time that anybody's ever said anything about race hate to me, especially having lived in the Middle East with people of various different ethnicities. Nobody's ever said that apart from Paul Hutcheon, who's now going to do another article with regards to me not being a journalist and doing other things like this as well. It's all comes from one individual, and this is this guy, Paul Hutcheon, who's claiming to be a journalist as well. Oh, come on. So they're just able to make up anything they want, literally. I mean, this is Paul Hutcheon again. This is the first article. So this is the first article about me being at a David Devon event that I wasn't at. And yeah, it's just all lies. It's just they're able to lie with regards to things that I do. They're able to say that I'm not a journalist or doing journalistic work, although I've talked to politicians about everything, all sorts of different political issues. And he's saying that he's calling me a pest. He's saying I'm not a journalist, that I'm a pest with a cell phone, rather than actually allowing me to actually speak to politicians. Obviously, I'm a politician in my own right as well, non-elected, but still a politician. And so they are able to do hit pieces, regardless if they're true or not, on anything that they want. I mean, it's really and no protection from the legal system. They're literally now get carte blanche to write anything. They could say he could say I was a mass murderer, and I've got no legal redress to actually challenge them in court over this, because no lawyer takes a case against this, which is completely liable. Race hate Brexit Party. But this was on the day that the Manchester grooming gang report came out, and for me, this is the Labour Party with their hacks in the media, like Paul Hutcheon, like Adam Smith, defending politicians over serious questions that are required to be asked. And they're obviously nervous because Sarwar's not managed to increase the Labour Party vote. So they're obviously Paul Hutcheon is, I think, a member of the Labour Party, and obviously playing defence for Sarwar, who has not managed to increase the Labour vote. In fact, I think it's down as low as 15% in the regional list. So it looks like the Labour Party are going to lose about 5 seats, or vote up to 5 seats. But they will just besmirch you in the paper, try and destroy your life, get you debarred. Cancel culture is completely alive and kicking. I've already told you that I was barred because of these guys on Facebook. I've been barred on LinkedIn, which I've never made any political comment on LinkedIn. So these are all the things that they're trying to do to stop the actual underlying stories coming out, because they know that they can't. There's no defence. That the Labour Party have got a lot of questions to answer. So the journalist like Paul Hutcheon is playing defence for the Labour Party and just blatantly lying about me. With regards to this, I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable. I've never made any. Absolutely unbelievable. he was at the David Durden event, and I wasn't even at it, and yet he's got an article here writing that some connection with the David Durden event. I knew it was on, but I didn't know anything about David Durden. But and then he's able to write stories like Harry Styles video nasty as race hate Brexit party Scott stars in new hit song. I've never said anything about race. So this is what the journalists are now playing defence for the politicians, and if anybody goes outside the underlying globalist narrative doing journalism, that Paul Hutcheon and Adam Smith will basically harass them, make up lies with regards to them doing, the other person doing journalism, say that they're not a journalism, say that you're just a pest with an iPhone, and the Labour, the Daily Record that's now going pretty much out of business is due to the decline in the circulation, are now protecting the political class, which I think we're going to see the Labour Party falling in the polls again under Sarwar. We saw what the Stammer thought of the publican landlord. By the publican landlord telling him to go out his pub. We've seen what these multi-millionaire rich kids who are kidding on their socialists do for the Labour Party. They don't care about the working class, and the only thing they've got now is the so-called journalists like Paul Hutcheon and Peter Smith to do defence for the Labour Party. It's now like their publications falling in the actual polls. So, I mean, it's just... so I'm expecting another hit piece on me with regards to this as well. So I'm expecting another hit piece from Paul Hutcheon. It's just absolutely unbelievable. Paul Hutcheon is doing articles on other journalists, telling them that they're not journalists. I don't know what qualifications that Paul's got to be a journalist. I have no idea. But certainly I am more than qualified through my political understanding than he is. So just no other, just far right, racist, that's it. I'm a libertarian liberal that doesn't believe in race or identity politics. The only people I can see that are believing in race and identity politics are the left just now. Which is no surprise, as I've called out National Socialism before and identity politics of the far left as well. Unbelievable. Just no change from these guys.